The Nintendo Entertainment System is a fantastic system loved by many gamers and collectors. It's also got a fantastic gaming library. The unfortunate reality, though, is that a lot of these games have become increasingly more expensive, and it's become more and more difficult to pick these up at a reasonable price for all us collectors out there. Don't worry, though. Today we're going to talk about 10 fun games that are under $10 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. First up, we're going to talk about Captain Skyhawk. This game can be found for under $5 generally, and it's a pretty solid game. In Captain Skyhawk, you pilot a plane, and you go on these overhead view missions where you just get to fly across the screen, sort of shoot 'em up style and take out enemies, and earning points along the way. There are also some gameplay elements that change up, like in between missions you'll go into more of like a behind the plane dogfighting style mode where it's a little bit like Afterburner. Not quite as good, but it definitely changes it up and keeps things fresh while you're playing the game. And did I mention that your plane in this game is apparently capable of interspace travel as well, so you can fly into outer space and dock with this space station here in between missions to reload and set out on your next level and your next adventure. Up next, we've got an SNK game. This is Guerrilla War. Now, Guerrilla War, for anyone who was a fan of the arcades back in the day, plays a lot like Commando, which also got ported to the NES, and you can probably draw some similarities in looking at it. The gameplay is sort of along that line. It's basically just a run and gun action shooter where you're playing as a soldier on the ground, just taking out all the enemies, helicopters, tanks, and anything else that comes in your way on screen. And the interesting thing is it's a great two-player co-op game. Keep in mind, I highly recommend using the ABBA code to resurrect a dead player. That way you can keep continuing through the game in two-player mode and progress as a team. It helps a lot, and it makes the game a lot more fun. And it's got an interesting overworld map so you can track your progress as you're going through the game and completing the various stages. Very cool. Pick it up. And next up on the list, we've got Alien Syndrome. Now, this is an Atari game that was ported over to the NES. A lot of people, when I hear this game brought up for home consoles, a lot of people tend to say the Master System version is superior. I'm here to say, personally, I disagree with that. I've played the Master System version now, and I don't think it's as good of a game as the NES version. I think the NES version's got better visuals, it's got the two-player co-op. I just like the way that the screen moves better instead of going room to room like you do with other versions of the game. Again, this is a fantastic couch co-op game. Basically, you're just dropped in, sort of Commando style again game, where you're just an overhead view, taking out enemies on screen. You're here to rescue all the hostages while taking out the aliens in your way. And once you've gotten all the hostages rescued, you can go into the exit where you'll take on a boss battle after each stage with these really creepy looking large bosses. Very cool for a Nintendo game. On to the next pick. It is Dig Dug 2. Now, Dig Dug, the arcade game, a lot of people are very familiar with. I think fewer people are familiar with the sequel here. Dig Dug 2 keeps a lot of the core gameplay intact, but it also adds some different variety as far as more of a puzzle element, because in addition to just blowing up and inflating and exploding your enemies to clear the stage, you can also use your weapon, or drill I guess, to create fault lines on the map, which will basically sever off chunks of the land or the island that you're on and drop it into the ocean. Any enemies on that landmass will go with it. And you can actually use that to your advantage to get higher scores, build up combos, and you're going to earn extra lives faster. So it's kind of an addictive game, and you don't have a lot of time to think and plan out. Just the initial few seconds when it drops you into a map, when you can see kind of the layout to formulate a quick plan, and it makes going back and playing it very fun. I highly recommend this one. Again, real cheap, $5 I'm guessing, or under. You can find this, and it's well worth your time. Now, last up on this list here is Tiger-Heli. Now, Tiger-Heli wasn't a game I had played until I started collecting for the Nintendo. A buddy of mine just loved this game, and I had no idea what he was talking about. And it is an acclaimed title. which might make you feel a little unsure about picking it up. But it's actually a pretty solid shooter. In Tiger-Heli, it's a top-down vertical scrolling shooter where you're flying around in a helicopter, just taking out all the enemies on screen. For a shooter, it is pretty slow paced, but this is the Nintendo Entertainment System we're talking about, so you wouldn't expect, a lot of fast-paced action that arcade shooters at the time were known for. But for a home port or a home shooting game on the NES and 8-bit, this is a solid entry, and for the price, you really can't go wrong. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, that was only 5 games. Wasn't this the 10 fun games under $10 list? Well, yes, you'd be correct. This is actually a collaboration video with another YouTuber, DDgames. He and I each picked 5 games that we enjoyed that you can pick up for under $10 at the time of making this video. To see the other 5, check out his channel, link in the video description below.